How's it going, YouTube? Coming at you with mail day opening, the first one I've ever uploaded. I got this baby from trollandtoad.com. Now that I think about it, as I'm showing this, I probably am going to have to edit it out because I think my address is on this package. But anyway, let's open it up. Apparently it's number 3403. I don't know on what scale, but within the bubble wrap is some more packaging. Because you never want your cards to be damaged, folks. So, welcome. I'm opening 40 cards today, exactly enough for a deck, except I think there are 3 extra deck monsters, so it's technically not enough for a deck. And let's start with this. Today we are going to be reviewing cards that could go in a budget prophecy deck. And some of these cards I honestly just wanted to buy to collector's purposes. Only a few of them. Just not really for collector's purposes, but I just would like to tech them in randomly, like in fun duels, like against my friends, because they're like pretty bad. So like I can get off some cool prophecy effects that I normally can't at like in the meta. So just keep that in mind. All these cards in total cost me $25 for a 40 card prophecy deck, and just keep that in mind while we're going through these. So right on top we had the Hermit of Prophecy. Each time a Spellbook spell card is activated, increase this card's level by 2 and attack by 300. The cool combo with this card is summon it, use Spellbook of Power to boost him up to, that actually adds 1,300 for him, so it's 2,500 beater. Then you use Spellbook of the Master to make him 3,800 beater, and then you use Diffusion wave motion. So he attacks every monster on their side of the field and gets 2 searches for every monster he destroys. So you can get up to 10 searches with that combo. It's really cool. And also, I only bought one Hermit of Prophecy, but this is hard to do because you have to get them on the field at the same time. I guess that's where a More of Prophecy could actually come in useful for once. I didn't even buy that card, it's so bad. But if you summon 2 Hermit, cast 1 Spellbook, you can make Empress. Cast 2 Spellbooks, you can make Hierophant or Big Eye. So that's Big Eye is nothing to at in this deck, especially because you can Miracle, you can Spellbook of Miracles it back. I'm just kidding, nobody runs that card. But Big Eye is a spellcaster, so he enjoys all the protection of Wisdom and Fate as backup and stuff like that. This is Stoic of Prophecy. Stoic is really good. Some meta decks even run Stoic because he searches out Temperance. Technically he searches out Justice. If I was playing on Dev Pro where money's not an issue, I probably wouldn't even run Justice, but in this build it's pretty good to get to Justice, to get to Priestess. But mostly you go into Temperance to get World with Stoic, and probably 2 Stoic in a row, yeah. And then you can overlay 2 Stoic, if you're lucky, into Slacker Magician, and he still gets his effect when he's sent to the graveyard, so you get a free Slacker Magician and 2 free searches. That's overlaying 2 Stoic is really good. You can technically do it with Valor too, but moving on is Jagan. Jagan is a pain in the ass for a lot of decks, and this is what happens most of the time. If you go first, a lot of the time you can end up getting 3 Spellbooks in grave, like that's your goal. And to get Fate and Tower, like that's an ideal turn. And if you do that and they MST your tower, because they usually use their removal on your tower first, then when tower goes to grave, you can special summon a level 3 spellcaster from your deck, and you special summon Jagan in defense mode, and some decks cannot handle that at all, especially when you already had a Spellbook of Fate set up. Like, if they have -1 monster and they can't special summon, that means they can't do anything. This plus Spellbook of Fate equals no monsters for them. Jagan's really good. This next card, Spellbook Starcall, is extremely underrated. I think accidentally only bought one today. I actually run 2 when I'm playing online. Search for this card when you open up with like a busted hand. This is like, I guess you could consider it a win more card, but it's also a security card. Like, as soon as you get to the point where you're generating enough advantage where you can get extra things like wisdoms and star halls, I recommend you get a star hall, because you cast star hall, you cast secrets, master, you can even go library, crescent, master, and then it already has 3. That's a free temperance if this thing gets destroyed. And after next turn, if it ever gets destroyed, it's probably a priestess. And even if it's not, this thing can end up getting like 17 counters on it. And if you make Arcanite Magician or Tempest Magician after that, it's game over, because they either lose all their cards or they lose all their life points. If you guys know what Tempest and Arcanite do. This card is really good. I'm going to order a second one. Next up is Monster Gate. I'm using this because it combos well with Stoic and Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, and all of the boss monsters in this deck are normal summonable. So you can get out a Priestess, you can get out a Reaper, you even get Reaper's effect off because it says when this card is special summoned, or it's normal summoned too. So if this thing summons Reaper, Reaper will summon, if you run Wheel, it can summon Wheel, but it will most likely, if anything, summon Prophecy Destroyer, because Prophecy Destroyer is better than Wheel. Although Wheel can be good if you don't have any tower, but that's what Strength is for in this deck, but I'll get to that later. Monster Gate just fills up your cards, fills up your graveyard with spellbooks for Fate and for Fool, and gets you like a good monster where it's probably, like, you get Spellbook Magicians for free. So, might as well just sack him for, like, possibly a bigger monster. Book of Moon is like another Secrets that costs 19 cents. So it's really good in a budget prophecy deck. You use this to flip down your blue boy, and you can actually net +2 off of this. You summon blue boy, and they Fiendish Chain it, they Effect Veiler it, you chain Book of Moon. Then, since he's face down, his effect resolves and isn't negated. So you get that search. And then you get another search when he's flipped back face up again, even if it's on the same turn. So Book of Moon is a good card in general, but it's just like extra broken in this deck. So run Book of Moon. This is the Fool of Prophecy. He's really good at filling up a graveyard with spellbooks for like Fate and Prophecy Destroyer, and when there's 5 or more spellbooks in the graveyard, he summons a Reaper who summons Destroyer, who makes Noriko the Immoral Leader, which is basically a better version of what's it called, Xian. So all in all, a good card. And here's Reaper of Prophecy. Let me just read him, because a lot of people don't even know what he does. Alright, so it is both. When this card is normal or special summoned, you can activate this effect and apply as many effects as possible based on the number of spellbook spell cards with different names in your graveyard. You can only use the effect of Reaper of Prophecy once per turn. 3 or more spellbooks, this card gains 600 attack, so he becomes 2600. Then 4 or more, add 1 spellbook spell card to your hand. 3rd effect, special summon 1 level 5 or higher dark spellcaster type monster from your deck. Normally you get all 3 effects because you summon them off of Fool's effect, which Fool gets his effect when you have 5 spellbooks engraved, and he gets all 3 effects when you have 5 spellbooks engraved. So not only do you get 2 beaters, Prophecy Destroyer is like an elemental dragon. You also get basically another spellbook of secrets, something crazy like Dark Magician or something. Oh, and here's the guy I was just talking about, the secret rare, Prophecy Destroyer. This card has one of the best artworks of all time. He looks almost exactly like Summon Skull, but more realistic. This artwork is so insane. Prophecy's Destroyer's effect is you can banish 3 spellbooks from your graveyard to special summon this card from your graveyard, and there's no limit to how many times you can do that per turn. So if you have 2 of these, you can just keep making seize monsters like Noriko the Immoral Leader, and that's such a good lockdown. No spells and traps for them, and a 2800 beater plus Fate, and you're constantly getting advantage. This deck is really good even on budget. So I would talk more about them, but we don't have all the time in the world. Next up, Spellbook of the Master. Spellbook of the Master, for a while I thought maybe you would run it at 3, but to be honest, Spellbook of the Master is probably the most dead spellbook of all time. After no, you know what? It's more dead than Library, because Library turn 1 is awesome, and Spellbook of the Master turn 1 is not that awesome if you don't draw a Spellcaster, which is entirely possible, because you usually run only like 10, albeit in this deck, I think I run like 12 to 14. So, Master is more alive in this deck. Maybe you could run 3 Master in this deck, especially since you can't afford all the secrets. But Master is obviously one of the best cards in the deck, an essential part of the Library, Secrets, Master, Fate combo, which you're trying to get off every turn. It's always Secrets and Master, basically. Like, first turn you go Crescent, Master, Secrets. Second turn you'll probably go Eternity, Master, Secrets. And then Tower, Wisdom, Power, so on and so forth. But Master is always part of the combo, and you should always be recycling Master if Fate and Eternity aren't in the grave. And Master is really good for, you search for Spellbook of Eternity, then Master for another yeah, you can Master for another Master, basically. And yeah, I got 2 of them. Next up we have Shining Elf. Shining Elf kind of looks like a Super Saiyan. He's a badass. Basically, Shining Elf is only good because he's a spellcaster and can be protected by Spellbook of Wisdom, because it sucks when you go into Herald of Pure Light, and then, I don't know, they Phoenix Wind Blast you, and that's what's good about Shining Elf. They try and Phoenix Wind Blast Shining Elf, and you chain Spellbook of Wisdom and he stays alive, and then you make Downward Magician main phase 2. So his effect, I guess, is kind of good. It makes him sort of like he's 2100. And to be honest, he can get kind of beefy with Spellbook Star Hall. He also is the only level 2 that benefits from Star Hall too. So, moving on. Underworld Fighter Balmung. This isn't for the Prophecy deck. I just wanted a copy of it for my Lightsworn deck. I did get a Spellbook of Miracles. For a little bit, I thought that this card had untapped potential, but it honestly does not. I mean, I guess it could be good if you never draw it. This would be like World, basically, where you would never want to draw this card until you would search it out after making Big Eye. But it's so rare that you make Big Eye anyways that you might as well not run this card. And like, Spellbook of Life would probably be better anyway, because you can bring back World and get that crazy World effect, so. I bought one Wheel of Prophecy mostly for janky deck purposes, but he basically can recycle all of your spellbooks, so not too bad. Here's the Diffusion Wave Motion I was talking about with the combo. You can also use this with Priestess. If you use Priestess, Power, and then Master to copy Power, and you have a Wisdom to back it up, you can go insanely plus with Diffusion Wave Motion. But to be honest, if you don't have Hermit and you don't have Priestess, this card is pretty dead. So that's why nobody really runs it. But I love it when this card goes off. So it's fun for janky decks. Charioteer of Prophecy. This guy reminds me of the character from Shadow of the Colossus. So I had to buy one copy of him. But this card is also good for decks that are budget, because if you're only running one Spellbook Magician, this card is basically a monster reincarnation. Like, that's what he is. He's a monster reincarnation once per turn. Not only that, he's an 1800 beater, just like Kaiku, all on his own. And if you get a Star Hall to back him up, he could easily get beyond 3000 attack. So, you can get back Priestess, get back your Magician, which is a pretty useful effect, so I got a copy of him. Spellbook of Life is so good. This card, when it brings back World, is crazy. I wish that you could add life back to the hand when you use life to add back World, though. But the funny thing about Spellbook of Life is that it equips to the monster. So like if you bring out Priestess equipped with life, so many times people will Mystical Space Typhoon the Spellbook of Life thinking that Priestess will die. But nowhere on this card does it say if this card is destroyed, destroy the monster it's equipped to. It's just equipped to change the level. And you can even destroy it yourself if you're trying to exceed for some reason, but I've literally never done that. But this equip after it brings them back is only affects their level, which is awesome. Spellbook of Power. People really underestimate Spellbook of Power. When you're having a 2500 beater or more with a Star Hall every single turn, like at minimum you're gonna have Magician who has 500 attack. At most you're gonna have like 4500 attack with Priestess, 5000 attack or more with World, 4000 attack even with just Strength of Prophecy, and you get 2 searches off of that. You usually only want to do it when you got it backed up with Wisdom, though. That's what I will say about Power, is that Power and Wisdom go hand in hand. Because you do not want it to get negated, because you don't want to go -1. And when you get off Power and Wisdom, you normally go like +2, because they're trap fizzles, and you get 2 searches. Well, if you use Master. So, and more spellbooks in the graveyard is always good using Wisdom anyway. That might be your third one to get you to your fate for the turn. And we're back to Hermit, so I'm going to end the part 1 of the video here, and stay tuned for part 2.